So, hello to everyone. Welcome to the ETHMilan 2026. We are to take some questions about security to our panelists. We have Justus riptide Hanna, is co-founder and CEO of Grego AI. Nurtilek head of market of CertiK, and Stefan Beyer, managing director of OAK Security. We have three questions about topics regarding security and some cyber attacks happening this last and this year. The first question is about Bybit, Lazarus, and the autopsy of an audit that wasn't there. The context is on February in 2005, the infamous Lazarus group stole 1.46 billion from Bybit Ethereum cold wallet. It was the largest crypto thief in history. So guys, was the audit of the most used multi-sig wallet in world basically a placebo, in your opinion?
So it's complicated, as all these hacks are, right? The Bybit attack, as we've been seeing more and more, is a very complicated attack that was pulled off through, there's always gaps, right? And usually these gaps are human-led. So humans, unfortunately, are the problem in the situation. Humans will get complacent, and these humans in particular looked at the safe front end, assumed everything was correct. I don't think they did a simulation. They would have caught it. This was another case of a developer installing, I think it was like a trading Docker image or something like that. But the whole thing was, all this could have been prevented with the same things we've been talking about for years now, almost a decade of very simple things. Have a separate laptop. Keep your work and your personal life separate. Your work laptop, clear signing. Everything should be done by these humans. Everyone should be taking these basic cybersecurity steps that we're still not doing. As far as protecting against this, like how do we do that? Unfortunately, I would love to say that my company and our product would be able to be there and get in front of the hack, but ultimately we've decided to delegate the ultimate responsibility to the user actually signing the transaction. And here we are where the user thinks the transaction looks good, but there are other ways they could have actually verified that, but they didn't, and for the reasons I just outlined. So unfortunately, these hacks come down to the very basic thing. We've seen all the hacks happen, is the majority is private key compromise and attacks like these.
So, CertiK has certified dozens of exchange and institutional infrastructure, And in your opinion, this cyber attack, it could be prevented in somehow technology stuff using that to avoid this kind of attack in the future, or is only about human things and human behavior, in your opinion?
Are you asking me? Okay, sorry, I thought you said CertiK. Yeah, I mean, the thing here is security is all about trade-offs, and you can make a car very secure, but then drive it off a cliff, right? So that doesn't solve your problem. And it's a case a bit like this here. The audit of the smart contract worked. There was not a smart contract exploit. It was a human target vector, and it was a supply chain attack. So actually the human was attacked at one of the suppliers, which was the one safe who programmed the user interface for this particular wallet. And it shows that a trend that we are seeing, and that the attack surface is much bigger than just a smart contract. Smart contract is just a tiny piece, and there's humans involved, there are suppliers involved, there's a lot of off-chain software involved, and that's often easier to attack just because it hasn't gone through a rigorous audit process. And the difficulty here is there are trade-offs involved, right? So if you want to make something like this Bybit wallet extremely secure, you have to make it extremely hard to use. And obviously they should probably have made it a bit harder to use, because if you're moving 1.5 billion around, you can think a bit more carefully about how to protect yourself from attacks like this. Like in this particular case, having different signers using a different user interface would have reduced the risk significantly. And obviously simulating the transaction, how was already said, how has been said. But that might be too costly if you're protecting a smaller amount. So we don't look a lot, or what are our clients, Web3 teams, don't look a lot at these things for several reasons. The first one is until now they've not considered it too important to look at operational security apart from the smart contract. And because it's harder to audit because of these trade-offs, right? So you have to, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You can't, you've mentioned a separate signing laptop. That's a very good solution in this case because it's a lot of value at stake, but if you are maybe protecting just $5,000, maybe that's too costly, right? So if we wanted to audit or consult on how to do operational security, which we do, but we have to be very specific and look at each case individually, and it's such a big attack surface that you have to make choices on what you protect and how you do that. So it's hard to do, and there's also still a lack of awareness.
Seems legit. And Nurtilek, about the certification of the exchange, the responsibility in case of this cyber attack, about the certification, everything was okay. Bybit was very audited, all the contracts was okay, and about the responsibility, I'm talking about roll back the money. It will be some issues in your way, or maybe the insurance try to give back the cryptos, or just Lazarus took the money and go away.
Well, I think there are already a lot of incident response analysis published already, but I totally agree that attack surface right now became a super multi-layered, and I think the defense surface should become the multi-layered too. I mean, as the largest auditing firm in the crypto industry, we've seen this evolution of the attack, of the threat attacks, and I think what we believe at CertiK right now is that having just a standalone like audit PDF is no longer enough to be secure in the industry. I think the Bybit case is a perfect example that exploit came not through the smart contract. The smart contracts were audited, right? The vulnerability late, and it came through the signer workflow. I think at this stage, the security should go beyond just the smart contract audit. It should be more on the operational resilience side. Projects need to implement monitoring tools, continuous CI/CDs, and I think the industry should take it as an example that just the on-chain contract audit is no longer enough to be secure.
Thank you so much. The second question, very, very, I don't know, the AI versus the AI. The 2026 arms race. So, on November last year, Anthropic disclosed the first AI orchestrated cyber espionage campaign in history. A Chinese state-sponsored group jailbroke cloud code to attack about almost 30 global organizations, assisted with cloud that executing almost all the workflow autonomously, like reconnaissance, exploit, lateral movement, a human involved only in few critical decision points. So, is the human auditor already obsolete? Justus, you are leaving the provocation of this panel. Your pitch says Grego finds bugs that big audit firms missed. So it's the end of the human being.
Not quite. We're getting there though. Like one of the reasons we started this AI audit firm was I'd been bug bounty hunting for 5 years. And last summer, I saw the shift when my co-founder introduced the architecture that he built, and it was able to find bugs that I considered quite novel. And I'd been doing this as a profession, so I said this has some legs, and we ended up iterating and improving on this, where it got to the point that I wouldn't say human auditors are obsolete, but we're heading in that direction, and I'll tell you why. Is because the AI auditors, not all of them, but what we've built, competes with human audits. It competes on price, on speed, and quality of findings. And I was able to observe that it can find bugs that are very, very complex, that as a bug bounty hunter, that it would stare at contracts day in, day out. It would chain together different bug classes and with such depth that I would never have considered these combinations as a human. It's just, I say it's outside the realm and the possibility of my brain capacity to do this. And you see this more and more as, ever since last summer, other AI black hats have been using these kind of exploits. They have their own tools, and they're using them to exploit these contracts. But you've seen the complexity. Some are very simple, and they're scanning the chain. They have an archive node, and they kind of reproduce and test these contracts that way, but some are quite complex, especially the edge case rounding issues that are obviously done with fuzzing, combined with LLM insight, and when you combine that, those two, you can get some wild outputs that, as a human, I think human auditors are valued, right? I'm not saying to lay off half your staff over there at O Security or at CertiK, but the issue is, like, we had a mission to disrupt the audit mafia. When I talk to founders and they pay 6 figures for a security audit and then they get hacked, that's not acceptable. So we can't guarantee 100% security, but we can also take the price down a lot and keep what we think is the same quality while still helping to secure every player in the game that can't afford $100,000 for an audit and wait 6 weeks to get it back, only to get hacked later on.
So, okay, you have convinced me that in 3 years, Stefan and Nurtilek aren't forced to lay off all their human staff. So, Stefan, OAK has 50 over PhD researcher. Where does a human hide when a multi-sandbox AI agent can synthesize POC's minutes?
Yeah, that's a good question. We should just lay them off, I think. No, but seriously, we are not there yet where AI can replace us, which obviously for us is a good thing. But we are now at a point where AI has become incredibly useful for us as auditors. Right? We are much more effective. All these things that are hard to find, that exist out there, that can be found with AI, we try to find with AI, and then add on top of that what our human operators, our human auditors are still good at. And there's, for example, there's a big gap on what can be found in relatively well-known protocol patterns in a very well-used language where the AI has a lot of training data, and what is sort of new ideas and new protocols and things that the AI has not come across before. There the human still has the edge. Also, we notice an incredible increase of quality when we add a human in the loop to this AI. And the AI is a double-edged sword in the sense that the code that we get also becomes more complex. So we have a lot of cases now where we get code to audit that is clearly AI generated, difficult to make sense of because the actual programmer that was in charge of telling the AI what to do didn't have the architectural understanding needed to guide the AI to implement something sensible. Right? So the human in the loop on both sides is still very much necessary, and it's like a bit of an arms race. At the same time, the attackers have AI, and there's another arms race there. But there is potentially a future in a few years where we don't have to audit manually anymore. And then the humans have to do other stuff like configuring these trade-offs I've talked about before, because once you go out of a smart contract, which is a relatively confined space, there are much more parameters to look at on the human sides, and training people and setting a company up to be secure and run their smart contracts in a secure way is not easy, and not as easy to automate as reviewing a ERC20 contract.
Seems good, seems legit. And a question for you, Nurtilek. CertiK just launched its own AI editor. Are you admitting the traditional security suite model isn't allowed anymore, or is only it defensive market stuff?
I don't really think I actually agree more with Oak Security. That thing, Oak Security and CertiK will still rely a lot on the manual review, and we're still saying it's a core part of the offerings that we have in the market. I am sure that AI will tremendously change the security industry, and that's the reason I think all the vendors right now are integrating it into their pipeline. We launched the AI auditor tool as well, so to meet the market demand. So, but I don't really think, but at this stage we're in the moment when we will replace our human auditors with AI. But on the other, something that you mentioned, I think that attackers also using AI for phishing, for impersonation, and that's really becoming like a kind of AI versus AI environment. But what we're saying at CertiK is that all the security companies will be anyway continuously working with AI in the future, like in a hybrid teams, AI and manual review.
And one so uncomfortable question, the last one about this topic. If cloud could be jailbroken to attack companies, no? Or we say in our side Mythos preview, and this was more powerful than cloud. What stopped Lazarus from downloading or rebuilding an open source solution, AI multi-agent like Grego clone tomorrow, and use it offensively?
Well, I think they're already doing it. They have their own capabilities. We're in the stage of AI audits and AI security where it's still a field that needs to be defined. And so everyone is trying different things, and we're this early. You have some of our competitors out there and some of the bigger names. Everyone's trying to build this AI audit tool, but they're using either LLMs 100% or they're using combinations with static analysis or fuzzing or different kind of auditing tools with it to find out what's the best approach with security. And no one has like the 100% best solution out there, except us, of course. But everyone's still working on their own framework, and I'm sure Lazarus is doing the same thing. And they're trying to figure out, like, okay, are we doing a RAG architecture? Is it just going to be 100% LLM? Is it going to be a hybrid? How can we scale it? And this is the problem. So I guarantee the attackers are doing it, and I think we just have to be on our side and think about, well, how quickly can we scale up to protect Web 3 and then Web 2 as well. I mean, Web 3 is, I think, the biggest target, which is what we're doing personally, is running all those bounty programs. The hardest bugs to find, we're going after them to try to find them before the black hats do on already deployed live protocols. And Web 2 is just, that requires a joint effort at the moment because it's so large, it's so big that we need some serious firepower to fight back on the AI side.
What's your opinion about that, Stefan?
Yeah, I mean, agree. They are already doing this, and I mean, I don't think it's easy to get around Claude's safeguards to use it offensively, but I'm sure someone has managed. I mean, I know some people have managed that. I mean, there was a hack recently where someone tricked Claude into doing stuff by sending it Morse code as a prompt injection, you know, and things like this. And they probably have their own way of training models, and you can do a lot with open models if you train them correctly. But it's just what has been said. You know, it's an arms race. Everyone's trying to be faster on the offensive side as well as on the defensive side. I think that's the only thing we can say about this. There's also a little bit of, I think, big labs that put out things like Claude or GPT. They are deliberately exaggerating a bit the cybersecurity capabilities to scare people. Also, I don't believe that Mythos is as powerful as they say, or if it is, I don't think that's the reason it's held back. It's probably because they don't have enough compute power to run it or whatever. But it's, you know, if you want a big IPO, you sort of have to use that type of marketing. But these models are very powerful, and they are already in the hands of Lazarus, so there's no doubt.
Okay, and your side, Nurtilek, you have some opinion about that? It will be AI versus AI, why evil, good? Lazarus could be, with the money stealed, rebuild an AI agent like yours, or not?
I think, yeah, I mean, we are already entering, as I mentioned, like attackers using AI for their purpose and security companies integrating AI to make security even stronger. So I think the time will show, but I am sure that AI won't be able to replace the manual review, and so yeah.
Okay, the last question. Now we're talking about what we said something before, the human factor. No? If the bug is in the brain and not in the contract, all of you sell a solution that assume the problem is in the code until now. But we saw that a lot of this infamous attack is belonging about something not good to use their devices or phishing attacks and other social engineering stuff. So in 2025, with the branch attacks increased by 75%, and 300 of million lost to social engineering in the first quarter of 2026. Who protects the human when almost a lot of all the industry selling code securing and are concentrated to put the code secure and not the awareness about the behavior of the human. Stefan, OC does pen testing and training stuff. No? How many of your clients accept that half their budget should go to human layer security and not contract audits?
When it comes to pen testing, quite a few of our clients accept that they need pen testing, particularly if they're building something like wallets. That's quite a successful service. When it comes to operational security and how to set up your whole team, it is a harder sell. We do offer that in the form of consulting and personalized training. But in the end, it's a market, right? The customers buy what they think they need and what they're told by exchanges they need and what they're told by their investors they need. And quite often, I would prefer to sell a team, particularly if it implements something fairly standard and tested, to sell them an operational security consulting project than a smart contract audit. But what they need for their investor is a stamp, right? So it's like an awareness thing within the industry that we are trying to deal with. But we do offer this, and we do try to protect the human vector as much as the smart contract vector.
Seems legit. And Nurtilek, Skynet monitors on-chain, but a malicious keystroke on a safe wallet DevBox leaves no on-chain traces until it's too late. How you try to put that in security? There is pending some stuff like I think so an agent or a system for your customer to protect, like an XDR or an anti-malware stuff to protect their behavior, or is they just monitoring on-chain situation?
Yeah, I think having just one on-chain tool is also definitely not enough. I mean, if the compromise happens before the transaction reaches the chain, right? So that will be already a little bit late. So what we've been doing lately was all this mass adoption of Web 2 and all the regulation happening around the world. I think something that also DORA compliance is trying to enforce is to make the projects more secure on the operational resilience part. So I think, and as mentioned by Stefan, it's having Web 2 security as well. It's quite important, like when it comes especially on the penetration testing as well. And yeah, we've been doing that for quite a long time, operating more between like Web 2 and Web 3, like Web 2.5, providing like custodians, financial institutions, and banking sector with penetration testing. So, and we do still think that audit shouldn't be limited only to whatever you have on chain. It should be, it should go much more beyond that. And when it comes to social engineering, I think the human factor is the biggest target for attack in crypto right now.
Yes, it's like what Bruce Snyder says, only the amateur guys hit machine, the professional guys hit the humans. So, Justus, a question for you. Grego AI is designed for code, no? If the next 5 billion stole in 2026 works out through deep fakes of CEOs signing multisig, like the American woman who lost her entire net worth on AI deepfake, is your agent useless?
It depends what we trust, right? Like right now we trust humans. They're the ultimate decider. If we decide to take AI and have your claw bot that authorizes everything and like it runs a store, it does these things, and if you want it to sign off on your multi-million-dollar transactions, I don't think anybody's ready for that. We still trust ourselves, right? And I think another point here is like we get a lot of heat, like in Web3, all these hacks, because it's so transparent, which is good and bad. But if you talk about wire transfer fraud, that is massive. That's probably, if you ever try to send a wire in TradFi, they'll triple confirm it with you because it's the biggest source of fraud in the traditional finance system. And it's billions and billions a year of fraudulent transfers are made. But it doesn't get much publicity. But what gets publicity are huge hacks on Web3. Oh, this is a bad platform. And so what do we do about it? I think as an industry, investors determine what type of security measures are put in place. And investors, unfortunately, even for institutional investors that are coming on chain, don't seem to care or are willing to accept the risk of the current security practices, which in my eyes are a joke, which is hopefully we can fix it. But to get a stamp of approval from any audit firm is typically, that's all they need. When in reality, we should have Web 2 type certifications that, hey, your DeFi protocol has these where you know that there's going to be a separate laptop, there's going to be air-gapped wallets, all these things would be in place. An investor can say, hey, that risk I can accept, but at least I know it. In Web3, it's so technical and the risks aren't clearly known to many investors that unfortunately capital comes into the latest hot project and it'll just be, okay, it has a couple audits and it's good to go. And until we remove that misalignment there, unfortunately, we're going to get more and more hacks, and there's nothing any AI or human can really do about it if the user's signing off on things like that on the final transaction. And we've done all we could to say, hey, here's all the warning flags, here are all our checks, but still ultimately, it's up to the human to decide.
Okay. So the last question, just one sharp prediction for 2027. What will be obsolete in crypto security, and what will be the new standard, and what will be the single 2026 events or trend that keeps you awake in the night?
I think it's going to be AI all over the place. We're going to see less junior auditors on the space. It's going to be more senior talent that's very experienced that can work hand in hand with AI to fine-tune and improve these models, improve finding exploitable bugs, and just kind of asking the right questions that a junior person wouldn't have that experience to do so. But I definitely see more hacks on the horizon, unfortunately. But what DeFi needs and our industry needs are these kind of things, unfortunately. It's public pain, and that's how we change, because we've been raising these concerns for years now. And in audits, and it's always just out of scope. Centralization risks, out of scope. So, okay, we've done what we can, and now we need to have the pain to rectify the issues.
Right. And what's your opinion about that, Nurtilek?
Yeah, I think, something that I mentioned just in the beginning, just a single PDF audit report will be obsolete soon, and something that's going to be, I think, industry standard. It's a continuous security.
Thank you so much. And Stefan, what's about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with both of these points. First of all, more hacks and more AI on either side. And what you said about continuous security is interesting. I think we'll see a market for a team consisting of part human and part AI that embeds itself into teams. Instead of having an audit, you actually have like a virtual CISO, which is part AI, part senior human expert, participating within each project instead of just hiring an external audit. And in terms of junior and senior auditors, we are already seeing that on the development side, it's Claude for most sort of standard software is now as good as a junior developer, which means you only need a senior architect to tell it what to do. And my question is, where will the junior developers come from so that they can turn into senior architects, right? So that's like there's a gap forming, and that will happen on the security side as well. Where do we get senior auditors if they don't go through the junior stage? Because that's what the AI can do.
Okay, so I finished the question. I don't know if someone of you have some question to our guests. Feel free to say. So thank you for the attention, and see you around. Bye bye.